interesting because you're sitting there and you got Savannah Guthrie as part of this mob in the media. This is why I call them a mob. And you got these elitists that live in New York and D.C. and L.A. and San Francisco. And it's like, and you notice it when I used to do social media until you put me in timeout years ago, took away all my accounts and all my passwords, and I have no access to anything, and I don't even have a computer anymore, I don't have any email anymore, I have nothing, you've stolen everything from me. But it's still true. I mean, I'm a 58-year-old man that's in timeout in perpetuity.
Listen, first of all, you should be
thanking. You're going to make an excuse for keeping me in a corner with my little...
Oh, no. I put you right where you belong. And trust me, you should be grateful. You should be grateful that you're not dealing with this.
I will tell you, it is free.
It is.
Free. It gets addicting. I find myself in a Twitter fight with Alec Baldwin or what's that idiot, Jimmy Kimmel. I'm like, what am I wasting my time for? But once I get involved, I don't even realize, 2 hours flies by, and you're in the middle of this huge Twitter fight, and it's, I'm not going to lie and say I didn't enjoy it at the time. I did, but I'm actually happier that I'm free from all of that crap. And, I'm able to monitor enough of it. Anyway, 800-941-SEAN is our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of the program. So you found this story, by the way. The Miami Herald apparently was able to identify the woman that we're going to have on TV tonight, an immigration attorney, 5-time beauty queen, Trump supporter, apparently ran as an independent for Congress in Miami in 2018. And during that campaign, she dubbed herself Miami's Master of Selfies, according to the Miami Herald. It's pretty interesting. After the forum, she did greet the president. "We have your back," she said. "Where are you from?" the president asked. "I'm from the Dominican Republic, but I'm American." "I'm an American," she responded. And she did not ask a question during the event. This is what it went. It went from 10 minutes on masks, 10 long minutes on masks. Now, don't mention that Kamala Harris now has staff members, they're all wearing masks, that apparently contracted COVID. Don't mention that Joe Biden's pilot of his chartered jet for his campaign apparently came down and contracted COVID. Everybody around, all of, the one thing that the president's saying, I can't hide it in the basement. Now, they've done the rapid testing. You know who wore the mask in the White House more than any one person? Was Hope Hicks. She wore a mask everywhere. And, it just was unbelievable. Then we get to the white supremacy crap. And I'm going to tell you something. This is where I wanted to take something and throw it at my television set, which is very expensive. It's 85 inches. It cost a lot of money. But I wanted to bring it. You're laughing. But it's so frustrating. And the reality is, now, there's no way that Savannah Guthrie, whose husband used to work with Al Gore, that she didn't know that the president had repeatedly condemned white nationalism, white supremacy, David Duke, even the Charlottesville speech that so inspired quid pro quo Joe to get into the campaign, or so he says. The president condemned them in that very speech, where there were some very fine people, not the white nationalists, not the extremists that should be condemned. She had to know that the president has done this 20 plus times. Listen.
Have you ever heard this president say one negative thing about white supremacists? Have you ever heard it?
I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke.
I got back in this race because what happened in Charlottesville. People coming out of the woods carrying torches, their veins bulging. Close your eyes and remember what you saw. And a young woman is killed resisting the hate and violence, and the president gets asked to come in. What's he say? He says they're very fine people on both sides.
And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
You wouldn't even condemn David Duke, for God's sake.
I've rejected David Duke. I've rejected the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. From the time of 5 years old, I rejected them.
it is so corrupt. Now, either Savannah Guthrie didn't know, which would make her totally disqualified for her position, or she just did Joe Biden's bidding. And I assume it's the latter, because that's where the media mob is. And then, of course, high praise from the media mob, thinking, I guess, that she is the great debate. Then we go on to QAnon. Now, it's weird because I don't monitor all these attacks against me, but sweet baby James does. Linda occasionally does. People on TV.
Occasionally.
Yeah, you guys are obsessed with, you know, reading bad crap about me. Like, just so you know, they're just writing more bad things about me. Like, that's like an average hour of my life at this point. I can't, I wouldn't be able to function if I read all this crap. Whatever switch I'm supposed to have that gives a living, lying, you know what, I don't have it. I don't really care if people don't like me. I don't. I have too many good people in my life that I care about, and too many good people that I work with, and I'm not on my deathbed, with my life about to be over, I don't think. So, I mean, you got to put these things in perspective. And they keep writing, you keep telling me, I'm like, I still don't know what it is. And so I've asked people, well, explain it to me. And people have been trying to explain it to me. I'm like, what? I still don't get it. And then she asked about QAnon. Of course you know about QAnon. He goes, well, I heard they're like anti-pedophilia, so I would agree with that part, but I don't know anything about them. Oh, presidents wouldn't condemn QAnon. Like, because he said he doesn't know what it is. And I say repeatedly, I have no earthly clue what it is. Now, maybe either somebody on my staff or me or somebody years ago retweeted something, and I guess they had a hashtag QAnon, so they had it as a part of QAnon. I'm like, oh my gosh. This is how insane it's getting. But anyway, I thought that all of this, look, this is what we've got. You got a tale of an abusively corrupt and biased media. You got Joe Biden not asked a single question about Hunter. Not one. Then you've got never-ending interruptions of Savannah Guthrie. Abusively, corruptly biased questions. 20 minutes to get to the first question from the audience. Then you got Joe Biden. Okay, so he finally says, yeah, I'm against the concept of packing the Supreme Courts, but maybe it depends. I might pack the Supreme Court. Gives a non-answer. I'll decide after Amy Coney Barrett gets put on the U.S. Supreme Court. He says that we should be thinking about making a COVID vaccine mandatory. Mandatory? I don't think you make anything like that mandatory.
It depends on the state of the nature of the vaccine when it comes out and how it's being distributed. That would depend on, but I would think that we should be talking about, depending on the continuation of the spread of the virus, we should be thinking about making it.
How could you enforce that?
Well, you couldn't. That's the problem. Just like you can't enforce.
Okay, so what's the point of talking about it if you can't? What are they going to do? I'm going to have people pinning me down at my house? No, I'm not getting your stupid vaccine. I don't want it. I happen to get the flu shot every year. I'd say half my friends think I'm nuts for getting a flu shot every year. Linda thinks I'm nuts for getting a flu shot every year.
I just don't think it makes sense to get something when you have no idea what you're fighting.
I got it. Okay. If the vaccine was approved by our medical researchers, scientists, I'd probably get it. But I totally respect people that wouldn't. You can't have a government mandating this. No, I'm not. Even these mask mandates. Now, if you want to go to your local grocery store and they have a mandate for masks, I wear it every time. It doesn't bother me wearing a mask. I've said this many times. I know it's temporary. We're almost at the other end of this thing, thank God. I'm not a fan of court packing, but it depends. What kind of answer is that? That he would pack the court. We'll let you know after the Amy Coney Barrett vote. I'll reveal my position then. It's pretty unbelievable. I don't want the president to weigh in on Roe v. Wade 18 days before the election. The president says, I'll accept the peaceful transfer of power, but I want an honest election. We have all these states trying to change election laws with less than 100 days to the election. Unbelievable. It's Joe Biden did get a question about you ain't black. Why doesn't anyone ever ask him a question? Why did you praise the former Klansman? When is he going to get asked that question? Why did you praise the guy that filibustered the Civil Rights Act, was against the Voting Rights Act, and why did you partner with the former Klansman to oppose integration of schools, because you didn't want your kids, you said at the time, going to schools that are racial jungles. When are they going to ask that question once of Joe Biden? I mean, he gets every single solitary time he gets a pass. This is the biggest campaign contribution. The mob, the media, social media giants. I mean, this is a big deal. Now, the president is now buying executive action against Facebook and Twitter. You know, and by the way, how did Putin get his hands on apparently all of these? If we're going to believe that the New York Post story and it's Russian disinformation, the only Russian disinformation came from Hillary Clinton, her bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier that our own FBI knew came from Christopher Steele, who had an anti-Trump bias, who literally used a known Russian asset that the FBI knew about for 10 years. It's unbelievable. And we have a big exclusive, Peter Schweitzer, separate and apart from that story. One of Hunter Biden's business partners, one is in jail, the other's waiting to get sentenced to go to jail. The one that is in jail handed over to Peter Schweitzer 26,000 emails. We're going to learn in our final hour today what's in it. It's going to break exclusively on this program. We'll also have it on Hannity tonight on the Fox News channel. You know, Joe Biden advocates raising corporate taxes. You know what that means? Corporations don't pay taxes. What do you mean, Hannity? They have to pay taxes. Yeah, okay, they pay taxes, but guess what? They raise the cost of what goods and services they have, and they pass the cost on to you, the consumer. Ah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And when he repeals the Trump tax cuts, all of those Americans that make way less than $400,000 a year, your taxes are going to go up. And then he flipped and flopped and flailed on fracking and taxes. And, you know, it's unbelievable. I don't know. I really worry about the future of this country for our kids and grandkids. I really do. You know, okay, the media mob, that institution, social media giants institutions, Democratic Socialist Party institutions, the threat of the biggest power grab, court packing, D.C. and other statehood, amnesty for 15 million people, something of value if you promise to vote for us every election. Sure, why not? Our friends at Chamonix want you to look your best. And by the way, our friends now have come out with Zotique. It's their brand new deep correcting serum from our friends at Chamonix. Now, our friend George from Chamonix has a friend of the program since forever. We love George. He's a great guy. His new Zotique, it's a deep correcting serum from Chamonix. Makes your skin smooth as silk, free from redness, acne, and acne scars. And it has a faster collagen production. It's the best serum he's ever designed. It's now becoming one of their most popular products. Zotique increases firmness, smoothness, and diminishes adult acne, redness, and stress breakouts. And by the way, you can also say goodbye to crow's feet and laugh lines. Try it now risk-free. Just call 1-800-SKIN-509, 800-SKIN-509, or go to Genucel.com. Guaranteed free 3-day shipping. And you're going to love this new product, Zotique, from our friends at Chamonix.
Now, the 3 big things you need to know.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is investigating a deadly deputy-involved shooting in Callahan. Nassau County deputies say they shot and killed a man with a knife who was threatening to harm someone else. While we've had warm weather this week, we'll cool down this weekend thanks to a cold front. Action News Jax chief meteorologist Mike Burrish says we'll get into the lower 70s tomorrow due to the potential for high tides and